What happened in practice for the Australian Grand Prix? Let's dive into the craziness of what happened in free practice 1 in particular. So there was a bizarre incident that happened in free practice 1 for the Australian Grand Prix where there was a GPS failure, which meant that engineers on the pit wall couldn't see where other cars were on track to tell their drivers. And I think if there was ever a piece of evidence we needed to show that GPS and the communication between engineers and the drivers is one of the most crucial things, especially in free practice and qualifying, this is it right here, because it was carnage. There was loads of sketchy moments. You had Hamilton nearly crashing into Tsunoda. Zhou got caught up between, I think it was Perez and Stroll in the last couple of corners. It was just traffic paradise, as Yuki would say.
He did. Yeah, it was a crazy incident to happen. My first thought seeing it was, thank goodness that wasn't Saudi, because we'd had these conversations about how you have very slow cars. It's something I really don't like, said it so many times. Just the nature of Formula One now, cars like to drive very slowly when they're not doing their push laps. And when you have a GPS failure, no one could tell what was going on. And thankfully, Australia, the Albert Park circuit is a bit more open, so people could see ahead. Still sketchy though, when you're flying into a corner at 150 miles an hour. It made me think, how on earth did they do it back in the day? If you've actually ever listened to one of these clips, when a car is on the slow lap, it's actually quite fascinating because the engineer's just there constantly going 4.2 behind, 3 behind, and then it's like telling you all the time. But yeah, engineers didn't have a clue. So dangerous that they called out the red flag for 10 minutes while they sorted it, and it did get sorted, thankfully.
Although that was sorted, we still had some traffic problems in FP2, which we'll get onto shortly. But before we dive to that wasn't the only chaos that went on in free practice 1. Red Bull having a few offs, Verstappen having a little
championship back on.
Yeah, okay. Turn 4 spin, clearly feeling the pressure of having other teams 1.5 seconds slower in race trim per lap. But Verstappen, made that rare mistake at turn 4 with a spin, just getting on the curbs. You could see he ran a little bit wide. His tyres were pretty degraded at that point, I think. And got on the exit curb and had a little spin. But every time Verstappen makes some kind of error, never hits the wall, that man. He always keeps it in the middle of the track. So fair play to him. He also struggled, didn't he, with gear shift and braking issues?
It did.
Perez had a few offs as well. And you mentioned, like, the Australian GP track, as much as it's not the most highly rated circuit in terms of racing, overtaking, the ability to overtake just purely because of how narrow it is at certain points. But I do enjoy the fact that mistakes get punished for once, because modern day Formula One circuits, there's always runoff, so much runoff that you can just go to Narnia and come back on the track. You can even cut the corner, whatever. Australia punishes mistakes at almost every single turn, and that's what I like to see, because it then gives us entertaining free practice sessions. Maybe we should do free practice every single time at Australia. But the biggest spin of all was Yuki Tsunoda, the GOAT. Massive moment into turn 1, slid along the gravel, but interestingly again, kept it out of the wall. We've not had one driver in the wall yet, have we? This whole year, like this whole season, no one's been in the wall.
No, we haven't.
No, so, not in testing.
Not even Saudi.
Yeah, which I'm very surprised about.
Very sketchy, and probably a change of overalls after that one.
For both you and Yuki, because obviously you're a big fan. Sainz ran wide. Magnussen also ran wide. No runoff, definitely punishing the drivers. And then finally, right at the end, there was a red flag for Logan Sargent with a car failure. Unfortunate for him. So the dream not very alive after FP1. Verstappen again clear by, just over 4 tenths of a second to Hamilton. Alonso still looking reasonably fast in the Aston Martin in P4 as well. We interrupt this glorious P1 video to tell you about our sponsor, Surfshark. Not using Surfshark VPN is like being within 1 second of the car ahead and not using DRS. It just doesn't make sense. Let me tell you a few reasons as to why you should use Surfshark. It keeps your information safe and private by masking what you do online. You can change where you want your browser to think you're from, allowing you to access the biggest movie catalogue on Netflix. And you can send and receive files safely. There is also zero risk trying Surfshark. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can purchase with confidence. Why not also try out Surfshark Alert whilst you're there, giving you real-time alerts to any breaches of your data, passwords, emails, credit cards, all monitored so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Go to surfshark.deals/P1 and use the code P1 for an 83% discount plus 3 extra months free. Link is in the description and the top comment. So now we go to FP2, and despite the GPS supposedly being sorted, there was more sketchy traffic issues. I mean, with the fact it's a much quicker circuit now, with the revised layout that they've done. It's a 1 minute 18 around here. I remember it used to be like 1 minute 24, 25, 26. So a quicker lap means the drivers come round quicker. And then we have traffic issues. Perez was blocked twice on fast laps. So he was not very happy at all with that. Which, again, like watching them, it just looks like the drivers weren't told that he was coming up behind them. So I wonder whether these GPS issues were actually fully fixed.
It does make you wonder. There was no reports of the problems persisting, but maybe it's just the nature of the circuit that, it's a shorter lap, very high speed. You're kind of flying through very quick turns into heavy braking zones, and people are dawdling around like they do.
Verstappen was also a dawdler. As it's the only time you're ever going to see a Ferrari overtaking a Red Bull this year, as Sainz dive-bombed up the inside of Verstappen, and Verstappen had no idea that the Ferrari was on a lap. And then Lance Stroll, in the wet, just decided to almost bin it 1,000 times by the looks of things, which was impressive car control that he didn't manage to bin it and kept it out of the wall.
Yeah, I'm surprised anyone actually bothered to go out, because I've never been more disappointed as finding out that it was raining in FP2, and then I checked the weather for the rest of the year. It's dry, so not great. So it does make you wonder why people went out. Normally they just sit in the pit lane.
And finally, I guess, let's end it on some good news. Fernando Alonso fastest with an 18.8, although he was one of the only drivers to go and set a fully dry lap time by the looks of things. But that was within a tenth of Verstappen.
Yeah, if you look at that time.
But then again, it is later in the day, so maybe the track was a bit quicker at that point. But let's keep the hype up. Alonso for pole, as I predicted. It could very well happen if Verstappen doesn't participate. But that is it. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. We'll see you tomorrow for Quali live on Twitch, Matt P1 Tommy, 5:30 in the morning. If not, we'll have a YouTube video going out a little bit later to round it all up. So we'll see you very soon. Bye!
Bye!